Our next step is to erase this shoelace that's hanging down and repair the sole of the shoe. If you notice in our original, that shoelace is going to get in the way of our window here, and we need to make sure it doesn't look like there's a lace hanging over. To do that, you're going to use the clone stamp tool. Now the clone stamp tool takes a little bit of patience, and you are going to need to go back and forth a little bit. The tool is right over here. It looks like an actual rubber stamp. It's underneath your brush tool. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to zoom in to get nice and close. What the clone stamp tool does is it samples from other areas of your picture. Sometimes you can have a nice large brush, other times you're going to need a fairly small brush. The first thing that we're going to do is fix the sole right here. In this area, I think we can do a pretty large brush, so I'm going to go ahead and make my brush pretty big. Then, to sample your picture, you hold down the Alt key. Once that happens, you get the little crosshair icon. I'm going to click because that is where I'm going to sample my picture from. And all that means is I'm going to copy that part of the picture. If you can see, it's now holding on to the sole of the boot. So I'm going to bring it over here, and you want to make sure and line it up, and I'm going to click a couple times, and it started to cover that up. Well, I'm going to make my my brush a little bit smaller. Alt again to sample. Come right over here, and I'm just going to click a couple times. Now I want to get this little indentation for the sole. So again, I'm going to Alt and come right over here. And so now we have a fixed sole. You're going to continue to do that all the way up. So I'm going to come right here and sample the area that I want to replace, and just keep resampling to save over. Up here where we get into the actual leather, I would suggest a much smaller brush. We're just going to keep clicking here, and every now and then just take a step back and see if it looks too obvious that you have completely copied another part. If it does, you can go back in and sample another area and just change up the pattern just a little bit. So go ahead and keep going up. This is going to take you quite a while to do, but go ahead and follow the shoelace up until you come to this eyelet, and this eyelet should look like there is nothing left there. I have went ahead and erased our shoelace. Now if you notice, this little area kind of bothers me a little bit, so what I'm going to do is come up to my opacity and bring that down and just go resample and try to make my colors a little bit less obvious where I've clone stamped, so it doesn't look like there's a shadow there. So right now all I'm doing is blending, and by taking the opacity down, you're just making the clone stamp a little less obvious than what it was. Okay, so it's not perfect, but it's good enough, and we'll start putting some other stuff in there, so it'll be pretty obvious that, or it won't be obvious at all, that there was a shoelace there.